Guys, what are we going to look at? We are going to look at this really interesting, really unique two-son TS383 in 14C28N. Once again, I should not have gotten a stool for this that spins. I just can't stop myself. So we're going to take a look at this, guys. But first, before we turn this around, take a look at it from above. You know what time it is. Turn on the volume. Here comes a little bit of music. Let's take a look at this. Let's look at it from the outside. So I've been carrying this for, a little bit better than a day and a half, about almost 2 days. And so this thing is really interesting. I wasn't sure how I was going to like it because it is not, I mean, it's a pretty plain shape, but you've got a really good blade shape. And that handle is so light that your pivot, your weight is just forward of the pivot. So the center of gravity on this is really good. So let's take a look at it from the outside first. First thing that struck me was the milling on this is really well done. Really, really well done. Good, clean finish on this. You have this area here that has been milled out and drilled out. So you got speed holes, big long pocket clip that is also really well milled. Let's zoom in and take a look at it. So, you know, you've got this long milled pocket. It is a little light. We'll get into that in a little bit. No real sharp spots anywhere on this to speak of. You guys know I've talked about knives where the lock bar is really sharp. This is not one of those knives. Really, really good looking pivot. I like the two-son pivots, but let's get down into the meat of it. Here is that blade, 14C28N. Nice drop point blade. The blade on this reminds me a lot of the Ferrum Forge Mordax, which is another blade shape I really love. But the thing is, let me grab it real quick and we'll take a look at it. Side-by-side blade comparison. You can see that's a really nice blade shape on that. Really similar to this. The thing that this does so much better than this, even though I do love this knife, is this knife is not at all thin behind the edge. It is super thick. This thing is really thin behind the edge. So 14C28N that is ground really thin behind the edge. I haven't measured anything because we're going to do a full review on this. Just like always, we're just doing the first carry. So the blade cuts really well. I will say I cut up a bunch of cardboard. This came in with that Keurig and all the stuff that came in from Winston Capretti. This was a gift. And I cut up all that cardboard, and it didn't have the greatest edge to begin with. I'm not gonna lie, it did not come super sharp. But after I got done with it, I realized that it was screaming through that cardboard, and it was not really sharp. So I sharpened this knife up. The 14C took a great edge, took it to about 1,000 grit-ish. Actually, I think I only took the 650. And it's just screaming sharp now, and it's cutting through everything I've thrown at it. Paper, cardboard, fabric. I've cut so much with it. It is really comfortable in hand to cut with. So you're looking at, you know, pretty good grip on this. The ergonomics aren't bad. I will say there's a thing that I do with knives, and I don't think a lot of people do it. I like to waistband carry a knife. This typically is in my waistband. It sits nice and you can't really do that real well with this. So if you're a guy like me that likes the waistband carry, the problem is it sits level and then this sticks up. So it doesn't have your typical lanyard hole, but it has one in the backspacer, but it is kind of in the way. I'm not going to lie. This is my knife. There is a chance that I am going to take this off. I'm just going to grind this out and clean that up to get rid of that because I don't use a lanyard. I don't need that lanyard hole. I can clean that up and then I'll just make sure that I knock any points or anything off of this. Then I'll just have a knife that it just sits for me. The two-son logo, I'm not such a fan of it being there, but it is not ugly. It's not unattractive. Like I said, the pivot is really good. Now, let's take a look at the insides of this thing. So you can see that there has been some reversed or some weight reduction milling. As a matter of fact, you know what? I don't do this very often. Hang on a second. We're going to take this apart. Guys, I just wanted to look at this. I wanted to take this apart anyway. I wanted to see a couple things. This milling that you're seeing inside, this is why this is so late. This almost weighs nothing. There's a cutout for your lock bar. We'll get it put back to everybody. Everywhere you see this on the outside, it's also on the inside. And then there is more internal weight reduction. This feels incredibly light, almost plastic, if you want to know the truth. I wanted to take this apart anyway, to change out the lubricant that's in it. But yeah, super lightweight, even with the backspacer. 3 screws to hold it together. The screw that holds your pocket clip on from behind is also a body screw. So literally 3 screws and you're done. And then you can see your ceramic ball bearings and your keyed pivot. So yeah, I mean, it is super lightweight. Let's go ahead and get it put back together. So you guys go back together. You saw what it looked like. Another thing I wanted to mention is this is another one of those knives. The stop pin is actually on the blade. I like that. That is not something that bothers me. The action on this, really smooth, not quite drop shut. Not quite drop shut. You can shake it shut, but it's not quite drop shut. But I will say, a lot of times your knives that are more prone to being drop shut have got much heavier blades. This is not a very heavy blade. Saw the internals on it already. Lots of good work. Now, let's talk about a couple things that I'm not such a big fan about it. I'm not a fan of pocket light or the lanyard hole. I'm not a fan of that. I already said it. I'm probably going to look at how hard it would be to remove it. It doesn't bother me when I carry it in my pocket, but if I was to want to carry this waistband, it definitely does. Another thing, I've got to get used to, it's not a negative right at the moment. I've got to get used to these being in these cutout areas. In hand, it gives it a weird feel. It's not a hot spot. It doesn't hurt. I just feel it and it just feels unusual. And then last thing that I don't like so far is the pocket clip. Now the pocket clip is a nice deep pocket clip. Appears to have a good bit of tension on it because it's bent, but the fact is it's so thin that there is just really no tension on it. Now, I carried this all day yesterday in a pair of jeans, but I've been carrying it in track pants today. And I'll tell you, in and out of the track pants, super, super easy, but it likes to walk around inside the pocket. And I noticed it tried to walk around a little bit in jeans. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, like when you put it in your pocket and as you're moving, it walks from, I typically like to have a large knife like this close to the inseam. So if your zipper's here, inseam's back here, I like to have it around closer to the side of my pocket. This didn't want to quite ride there all the time. It wanted to work its way to the middle of the pocket, which I don't like so much. I don't think that this would be something where I'd be able to put more tension on that. I'm afraid that that would not hold up to having more tension. As you can see, it's already bent. It is already bent to a point where there's a curvature in it. So I don't think you're going to add any more real tension to that. So, but the pocket clip is really comfortable. It comes down, it terminates nicely. There's no hot spots or anything like that. But it's one of those knives that you look at it and you're like, I'm not sure how I feel about it. And like I said, I've carried it enough now that I'm going to tell you, I really do like it. Now, how does it cut? It aligns in your hand just about perfectly for a cut so far. I might change my mind on this. I'm not feeling any hot spots, but I haven't done any heavy cutting yet. So I've got some wood that I'm gonna cut on and see how it feather sticks and stuff like that. But in the big gist of it, so far it's been great. Like I said, the action on it is really smooth. Now, when I took it apart, I did put some oil on it, but let's see, does it still have that like zit sound? I can't really hear it as well. Yeah, you can. It still has that little zip when it opens. I dig that. I don't know what's causing it. I didn't see anything in there that should be causing it. I don't know if it's maybe just some audio that you get from having these holes there. But no, really cool construction. And I'm going to show you something I do like. 1, 2, right? These 2 screws back here. This is your pocket clip screw. Unfortunately, it is not reversible. There's no cutout for it, but it's in there. So 1 screw, this is the way, if you want a 1 screw pivot, this is how you get a pivot that doesn't jiggle and walk, is you do it with the 1 screw and then you can crank it down. Let's see here. Did I get it tightened all the way? You crank it down as tight as you want it. It acts as a body screw, but it's milled out and keyed out so it doesn't walk. So to take it apart, it was a simple 1, 2, and then that third screw, because this goes all the way through the backspacer, and you've got it apart. So I'm pretty impressed with this. The Two Sons, like I said, Two Sons has really been stepping up. This is where this thing shines. All of the Two Son knives that I've seen recently are like super well engineered for behind the edge and cutting. I would say it's because they have, they know what they want out of their knives and how they want it to perform. But I think their designers are also knowing that bringing a blade down nice and thin cuts so much better. Like I said, this thing was dull and it still cut cardboard. Pretty much the only thing that I have right now that I'd say competed with it would be my Norseman and that PMP Big Boy, another 14C28 end blade that was really thin. So yeah, the Two Son knives are really bringing it when it comes to the actual functionality of what you want out of a knife and how to cut with it. I actually have scratched it up. 14C with this kind of finish doesn't scratch real badly, but this has been getting a good bit of use. So we're gonna take a look at this. I've been alternating this and that. What was it? The Nightshade from Vosteed Knives. So I'm digging it. I like both of them. This is a great, great knife so far. We'll see how it pans out. We'll get a full review here in a couple weeks. There's no real rush on this one though, because the fact is this was a gift. This is my knife. The other ones that you guys see on the channel pretty regularly are the ones that I have to kind of rush through so that I can get them back to Jared or whoever sent them. So guys, that's it on this one. Let's turn this around, do some final thoughts. There you go, guys. That's it on this TS383 gift from one of the paying members. Super thin behind the edge. That's one of the things that Two Son is doing and getting right is their edge geometry, blade geometry. Even if it was dull, this would still cut. So you go, guys. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down, but please try to tell me why. I can't change it if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as dropping a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notified of everything I do, but you gotta make sure you've got notifications turned on your device. If you want to support the channel financially, I've got a handful of ways down in the description below. I have a membership that is based on tier, bunch of different benefits based on tier. Pick the tier that gets you what you want out of the memberships, but remember, everyone saves $5 off my sharpening service, and everyone that's a member also has access to the Gilded server. And if you're a premium tier member, I've built a sharpening tutorial series that they have access to through a playlist. Other ways you can do it, I have affiliate links and stuff down below. Anything you purchase with the affiliate links, I get a little bit of it at checkout, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. And the last way is I have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co. I've set you up a coupon code on Ember Shirt Co. that works anywhere there, 10% off. And that coupon code is CrazySharp, all one word, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp, saves you 10%. And if you send me pictures of you wearing my merchandise, I will put them in a video. Guys, I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you in the next video.